Sensational Saturday, everyone. This is Furley Almonte, your host for the D Word with my co-host, who is hopefully going to be able to join us, Carolina Denhart. She's a family law, divorce and international law attorney. Here at the Divorce Dynasty, we offer you this podcast for many different reasons. The D Word, if you do not know yet, actually stands for divorce, death, disability, deceit. And today we're going to talk about despair and how we can actually lead you to dazzling destinies. At the Divorce Dynasty, we actually bring together vetted professionals who are experts at many different areas. And today we're going to talk to actually an expert on accounting. And more relevantly, during this pandemic, we need his expert advice so we can navigate through our desperation. Many business owners right now are actually feeling so desperate, not knowing whether they need to close down their business or there's help along the way. So today, I'm very, very honored to actually help us many many of our business owners out there with expert advice from our guest, Henry Rinder. He is an accountant for 30 years. Okay, but let me first tell you about his background, okay? Henry Rinder is a member of the firm Smolin Lupin, and he is a licensed certified public accountant in New Jersey and in New York. And he has over 30 years of public accounting experience. He is also a certified expert in financial forensics as a fraud examiner and is accredited in business valuations. He has been accepted as an expert in these fields by the state and by federal courts in New Jersey, New York, and Florida, and has testified before these courts. Well, today, look at this. It doesn't get any better than that when it comes to expertise. So say hello, Henry. How are you doing?
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you, Farley, and good morning to your audience. I'm doing fantastic. Never bad. It's great. It's great to be on your show.
I love the color you're wearing because it brings so much passion and hope. Like I truly believe that wearing the colors that we do actually changes the energy around us. So I actually appreciate your very passionate color right now. That's actually my favorite. But I know that one of your other passions is accounting. And right now, we are in the midst of a pandemic and people are scared. Business owners do not know what lies ahead of them. And so today, you're going to be talking about different things. First of all, let's start with the business owners who may be out there running scared right now because they do not know if they need to lay off employees or they need to close their business. What is there, in the horizon in terms of salvation, so to speak?
So, Farley, I'll quote FDR, who said, the only thing you need to fear is fear itself. And frankly, if you're running a business, you mentioned that there are businesses that suffer, and that indeed is the case. And there's also businesses that prosper, and that is the case. Like there's people that actually benefit from the pandemic. Think about just think about the supply chain business. The UPS, Federal Express, the supermarkets, the suppliers to the supermarkets, and so on. So there are segments in the economy that do really well, and then there are segments that really suffer. And the segments that suffer are basically, the gyms, the restaurants, the bars, the entertainment industry. They've been hammered. Like the theater, Broadway. All that is kind of shut down, has been shut down, and you have a lot of people who are not making a living, who are sort of on the outskirts and suffering. So there is that huge sort of imbalance between different segments of economy, and as a business owner, depending on which segment you're in, you could be kind of counting your blessings or being in despair, and you have that. And unfortunately, if the business is not able to make the ends meet, and irrespective of any federal or state aid or any bank assistance, you cannot really continue to operate. You really, that leaves you little choice. You may have to file bankruptcies, which bankruptcies are up. You may have to shut down your doors temporarily or permanently. It's just the way of life. There's very little you can do about it if you're in that sector of economy.
Wow, that is really like a beautiful positive spin. When you talk about there are certain industries that actually thrive. I'm even thinking like I'm sure even designer manufacturers are actually creating masks, right? Like that's obviously up right now. And I am in the life insurance industry, and quite frankly, my business grew a lot more during this pandemic because people are beginning to have a wake up call that this is something that they need to protect themselves and their family and have peace of mind when bad things happen like this. And so I understand that when you're saying that, I actually love that you put on a positive spin to what we're going through. But for those people who are scared right now, and those people, of course, they have employees who are afraid of being let go. So, what can you share with them that is available from the government in terms of, I don't know, a bailout subsidy? I'm not even sure. Can you light us on, give us some light on that?
So there was and there is a variety of assistance that have been made available during the pandemic, and the two sources actually of the biggest aid were supposed to be SBA, Small Business Administration, and Federal Reserve. And Federal Reserve, actually, I was listening to the news this morning, and I think that there's some kind of a situation between the Treasury and the Federal Reserve right now as to whether or not Federal Reserve will continue to assist financially uh, failing businesses or businesses in need or not. I think Treasury wants to stop it, and Federal Reserve wants to continue it. So that's one little conversation I heard on the way to the office this morning. And as far as the SBA is concerned, there were two forms of loans available to people, and one of them, I believe, still is available, which is called an idle loan. And you can get on the SBA website, and you can actually apply for it right online. And the money is made available to you rather in a short order. You can get them to the money really quick. The other form of loans, which were specifically designed by Congress to help businesses in keeping people employed. It was called Paycheck Protection Program.
The
Uh,
PPP.
yeah, PPP. That has expired right now, and there may be a renewal of it because obviously there has been a conversation between um, the White House and the Congress about having another stimulus package. And if that gets agreed upon, and they were talking about some serious money, somewhere in the area of $2 trillion.
Wow.
And so if that passes, there'll be different additional sources of help. But I kind of want to talk about the PPP side for a second. Those
Yes,
people
please.
that took advantage of it and got loans, there was a lot of what I would consider uncertainty and confusion about the actual implementation of it.
Okay.
SBA and Treasury has been coming out with a narrative, rules, and clarifications and Q&As on how these loans supposed to be treated, how they become forgiven, so they become a grant if you use it for payroll and you use it for certain expenses that are necessary, essential to the business, like rent. So these qualified expenses, if you use the money for that purpose, you can then apply for the loan forgiveness, and you do it through your bank. That these loans were managed and basically underwritten by banks on behalf of SBA, and the banks then have 60 days, I believe, to give you grant you a forgiveness if you qualify. So all of that process is right now in the works for those businesses, and it's a big infusion of help, obviously, because even if you're a little person with a small business, even a Schedule C, you are able to apply for these loans.
What
You know,
is Schedule C?
sole proprietor. So I'll give you an example. We did a webinar for fishing guides in the Florida Keys. There were, I think, about 170 of them on our webinar, probably all of them, frankly, because I think there's maybe 180 of them in total that belong to three different organizations, and we got involved with them to show them how to apply for these loans. And most of them don't have payroll. Most of them have maybe a limited liability company that they use to basically run a boat or run the business around the fishing industry. The guides, if you want to go to the Keys and go fishing, you hire one of these guys and you go out with them, and they don't make a lot of money. They don't make a lot of money. Maybe I would say that maybe they make 75 to 125,000 net, on average. And so even they qualified for these PPP loans based on what they took themselves. You see, so the spectrum of people that benefit from it was broad, and it started with really small businesses, mom and pops, to very large businesses. And
There was something else that you said besides PPP earlier. IDO. I didn't.
it's economic injury disaster loans. So that's what you can get online. You go on the SBA online, you put your application in, and right away they're gonna either pre-approve you or not approve you. But most of clients of our firm that applied, they got money, and I think they might have got more than once. I
So
cannot be
what makes it different from PPP?
you broke down a little bit.
I said, like, what makes it different from PPP?
You're still getting static on your line,
Oh
Pearlie.
my gosh. Okay. Do you hear me better now? Oops. Better.
Yeah, it's very staticky.
Okay. All right. Just continue talking. And I will go to
I
another.
just changed my connection, but you're freezing out on me.
Okay. Um, can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me?
Very badly.
Okay. Just continue talking about PPP, and so I will go to another room. Hopefully, I could get better connection. Okay. Is this better?
Well, I'm trying a new connection. I disconnected my internet. I'm using my telephone.
I disconnected myself as well because I said, like, oh, maybe it's me. So anyway, do you hear me better this time?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
beautiful. All right. Okay. So we were talking about PPP, Paycheck Protection Program, and also the other one, the EJ. Oh,
Idle.
I go. Okay.
Economic injury.
Economic injury. Now, I was asking what makes IGO different from PPP? Who are
Oh,
qualified to who are eligible?
yeah. Thank you, Farley. Sorry. What the idle loans they existed prior to the pandemic.
Oh, I see.
They were
Okay.
designed by law to assist in situations where we had disasters and economic crisis or disasters, local disasters, and SBA would then step in and help out local businesses to survive.
Oh, I see.
Uh,
Oh,
and I'm assuming they will continue past the pandemic. On the other hand, the Paycheck Protection Program was designed by Congress to specifically address the economic distress caused by COVID-19, and it's a short-term program as a result. The money was available in 2020. The forgiveness will be granted between 2020 and 2021. And as far as we can tell, this program will go away.
Henry, does a business have better chances of being able to obtain like loans like this if they go through an accountant, or just do it themselves, or
So,
does it matter?
so obviously, accountants, CPAs serve an important role throughout the economy, throughout the society. We are the intermediaries between people's financial lives and various departments, IRS, local treasury, local revenue agencies for different states, compliance for payroll taxes, and so on. So we play that role, and many of us also assist small business in day-to-day small business type of issues. And so applying for a loan, applying for a bank loan, applying for a mortgage, many clients rely on their accountants, CPAs to help them with preparing the paperwork. The
Yes.
SBA application is a little different. We do help people, but they do need to do it themselves. The SBA idle loans are done online, and we basically walk clients through the process, but they do it. They do it themselves.
And quite frankly, it's less fearful because, when you're going through despair, so to speak, your mind is not clear. And sometimes you don't even know where to look for the right information. So having a professional such as you would actually make the process go a lot more seamlessly and also less stressful, right?
There's
Um,
there's no question, and what we are finding out, people before COVID, before the pandemic, whatever problems you have, no, financially, some of them it got kind of like put aside for the time being. I find the IRS to be more friendly. I find the local agencies to be more friendly because they realize, that people just like us, and they realize everybody's suffering. There's a hardship out there. So they kind of nicer and kinder and more compassionate for the time being. This will be over, and they're going to have to go back to what they have to do, which is like, in case of IRS, collection of revenues for the federal government. But right now, it's things are kind of nicer and kinder because of what we are experiencing.
Yeah. Now, okay, you said that PPP is not available right now. Do you know, or do you know of any updates when it will be available again? Because people are still going through. We are in. We're afraid that there might be another lockdown, which, of course, as we began to reopen, began to earn income from small businesses. Now they could be shut down again, and so they want to know: one is there any aid coming soon?
So, we've been watching the interplay between the White House and the House of Representatives now for about at least 2 years. And I think the Secretary of Treasury has been negotiating with the House Speaker, and I think they're coming close to reaching terms on what the package, this new stimulus package, will look like. But unfortunately, there is no guarantee we're gonna get it.
Mm,
There is no, there is no level of certainty. We hope, the White House last time I heard was like a trillion eight, and the speaker wanted something way over 2 trillion, with help for the states and the cities. So they are negotiating. So I'm hoping that if things get worse, they're gonna have more of an incentive to do it faster. You know,
No,
there'll be
true.
pressure from the people to do something, and I think they'll do it. But if things will be okay, you know, kind of like, okay, so we have a surge, but it's a surge in infections, but you know, it's not as much of a wear and tear on the economy. It's not as much of a wear and tear on the hospitals, and we keep sort of the casualties down to minimal. Maybe they will not come out with a stimulus. You know, I don't know why. For example, I heard on the news from Wall Street Journal this morning that the Treasury would be pushing Federal Reserve to stop, you know, the loans that they did, which, by the way, were not designed for small business. They were pretty complicated and high-level loans, and we tried to kind of figure out how to give our clients access to them, but it was not easy. It was not designed for that.
Yeah. Is it true that because we're getting all of this stimulus and aids from the government, is it true that obviously the taxpayers will eventually have to pay for it through higher taxes, regardless of whoever leads the government? Is that true?
Well, that would seem logical. In other words, what we are doing right now is basically borrowing in this time period, and we kind of borrowing from ourselves in a way because a lot of money is coming from the Federal Reserve, and the Federal Reserve is adjusting its balance sheet to make it happen. But at the end of the day, um, historically, the way the governments balance the budget and keep the currency stable and protect themselves from inflation on a broader base would be by increasing taxation and paying this off.
Oh my God, I'm sure every single person here in America is scared of that happening. Um, Question: now that we're going through this, like period of uncertainty, what would you advise a small business owner? When do they make a decision to close the doors or to just keep going?
Well, this is where accountants can be of great help. You know, we are sort of historians. We look at it realistically, not emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the numbers. And I've had those conversations with clients during this pandemic and during some other events that happened in the past. And it's not an easy conversation because if you're gonna shut down the business, you're shutting it down for a couple of reasons. One, the business is hemorrhaging and it's eating away at your capital, and there is no hope in sight to turn this around in the near term. So that conversation would be sort of like, okay, you want to preserve your capital, you have money that you made in the past, but now this situation is going to eat it away, and eventually you're going to be bankrupt. This is where you're going. So the question is, at which point do you close the doors? Do you preserve your capital and you close the doors earlier, or you wait and wait and wait, and then eventually it's too late?
Hmm.
And when you get to that point where it's too late, when you're already insolvent and nobody's going to want to help you because you don't have the wherewithal to pay anybody back, it's actually the conversation is a lot shorter because the conversation is more like, here's a couple of bankruptcy lawyers, this is who you call, because you don't have any options.
Okay.
Run out.
A lot of people, I'm sure, would love to be able to talk to you right now because they are in that time of uncertainty. Okay. Obviously, you are an expert at this. You know what programs are available for them. You know how to navigate the system, and so I just wanted to know what would a consultation with you look like, if somebody, a small business owner, comes to you? Is there a fee to consult with you? How does that work?
Well, I still make a living, so yeah,
Of
the
course.
for my time, but I often will take a call from people and kind of spend 15 minutes or so with them pro bono, just trying to understand where they come from and what is it that they need. And if I can give them a quick solution or referral to the right person, I'll do it, and that doesn't cost anything. But if they do want to retain me, and obviously I'm part of a bigger firm. We have a couple offices in New Jersey. We have an office in New York. We have an office in Florida. And when they want to retain us, they have to sign a contract. There's a process. They pay a
Yeah.
retainer,
Yeah.
and we go through basic consulting services. We define the scope. We figure out what they need, and if we can do it, we do it. If we cannot do it, we'll refer them to somebody that can give them the type of assistance and help they need.
Actually, I love your slogan. You said something about, on your website. I think it said something about collaboration, um, about being able to help, like find the right people that will help them. I forgot the right words for it, but it's beautiful. It says about your the way you serve is all about collaborating with the right people to better serve the community. I will ask you later on for your contact information, but first I'd like to talk about a little about divorce, because here in the divorce dynasty, um, you know, Carolina Denhard is a divorce, family law, and international law attorney, and she's the founder of Divorce Dynasty. And the Divorce Dynasty is a group of vetted professionals in many different areas, and you are obviously our vetted professional when it comes to accounting. Now, um, how do you fit in terms of divorce? What service do you provide?
So uh, I think I mentioned to you fairly that my expertise is forensic accounting and business valuations. So in matrimonial cases, not all of them, but many of them, the interplay has to do with finances and financial net worth. And the law basically in most states would suggest that you have to figure out what people have and then come to terms on some division of the assets, net of liabilities. And to that end, the accounting assistance, the forensic accounting assistance, is needed because somebody has to actually identify the assets, list them, value them, and then provide it to the attorneys and the judges in the case, or arbitrators or mediators, or whoever might be in the middle of a case, so they can make rational and decisions based on foundations that come from facts. So, to that end, so think about people that have a small business, for example. One of the spouses has a business, the other spouse works for a big company. So one person gets a W-2, the other person has a business, and the value of that business has to be measured, especially if it was started during the marriage, and now it's being split, and the marriages in most states are looked upon as partnerships. So it's kind of like two partners working for mutual benefit. And if I'm married to you and I have a business while we are married, you have the right to a share in that business value. You have a right to share of the income as well for the purposes of support. But that's a different consideration, which is also something that we address because we need to figure out how much income is generated by various sources available to the parties to the divorce. So this is another thing we do. We look at the cash flow. We look at disposable income for purposes of alimony, for purposes of child support. All of that is considered, and then going back to identifying assets and valuing business interests. That's the field that the accountants fulfill within the matrimonial practice.
No, you said forensic accounting. So, do you also serve people like what, for example, the money was hidden in another country? Are you able to provide services as well in terms of unearthing, so to speak, those hidden money?
So yes, and on an international basis, it gets a little more difficult. Uh, especially if people have businesses and activities that are not even within the United States. So some people might be running a business in China. Um, there's very little evidence that they have any connection to it. The other spouse may not know it. So, but we do very much get into that, and a lot of it has to do with tracing of funds. You can actually trace money as it moves from one account to another to another to another. Eventually, you're gonna figure out where the money's going.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it ends up in places like Isle of Jersey or Guernsey or Luxembourg or Liechtenstein, which are known to hide, as good places to hide money, and they're very big on privacy of depositors. So it's not easy for us
Mm-hmm.
to get in and figure out once the money ends up there how we can get to it. It's not easy, but we do it. We do it. We
Yeah.
and
Yeah, and I know I in one of your accountants I that we interviewed before had mentioned that you have a whole team just focused on forensic, and that's unbelievable. So you do not only help small business owners with PPP or any other loans or their typical even private clients, individuals, you help them also with taxes preparation, correct? you know
Absolutely.
so
I don't. My firm, like I said, we have over 100 people, and we have a tax department, we have an audit department, we have a forensic department which does valuation and forensics. We also have what's called a sort of like a concierge services for people that sort of need like 24/7 hand holding. We have that as well.
wow.
And yeah, yeah.
Impressive. Very impressive. So it doesn't get better than this. Being able to have a team of 100 experts, to to serve your best interest. I certainly would invite you, whether you are an individual looking to have your taxes prepared, you're going through a relationship transition and need forensic accounting expertise. You are a small business owner who's going through uncertainty right now whether you should close your doors or not, having the right direction. The voice, actually you are the voice of reason, because you can become just a very unbiased person who can basically stick to the facts. And just what you said, not people cannot help but get emotional, but of course you need a voice of reason to be able to think through making an intelligent decision on how we move forward in our lives. So Henry, where can they find you? How will they be able to reach you for a consultation?
So, I would say the best way to reach me is to call me,
Okay,
and,
what's your number?
and I'll give you my direct number. It's 973-461-7302. 973-461-7302. That's the best place, because I gotta say this, Fairly. During this COVID-19 pandemic, well, accountants could not have been busier. And I can give people my email, which I will. But when you're getting calls all day long, you don't even have time to check your email. You don't when people are texting you, emailing you, and calling you, you have to make a decision on where you're gonna be spending your time if it's constant, right? So I would
Yes.
say you will get me if you call me. If you email me, I will get back to you, but it's not gonna be instantaneous. Don't expect an immediate reply, just because we are very busy. We are still very busy, and it's very much attributed to the very uncertainty, Farley, that you were describing. People are quite concerned, and they need to talk to someone. And we are financial advisors. We are the planning sort of board that they go to kind of sound different ideas with. And it takes time to do this. And it's so my number 973-461-7302 is the best way to get to me. Obviously, I have a business email. It's hrinder. It's hrinder, as you can see on the screen, at Smolin, SMOLIN.com, the name of my firm, smolin.com. And people can also get on the website at www.smolin.com, and kind of look around it. It gives you a little roadmap about different services we provide. I
Yeah.
wanted,
Yeah,
I
and
want,
get to know your team. My God, like 100 experts, and just and obviously you're the managing director of Small and Lupin, and obviously you are. I can tell that you are very knowledgeable. I love the fact that you're very compassionate, that you are you are there feeling the pulse of what people are experiencing right now, and that is absolutely amazing. Having a team of 100 experts, you even like said something about a concierge, like, oh, this is the first time I've ever heard of a firm that has an accounting concierge. That is absolutely phenomenal. Just goes to show the scope of expertise and services that you provide at Smolin Lupin. And so, any last words before we go?
so I just wanted to correct you because I don't want to offend my managing partner. I am not a managing director of the firm. I
Okay.
would want that job. It's too stressful. I am a member of the executive committee that runs the firm, but my managing partner, God bless him, I don't know how he does it.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that correction. So he's a member of the executive committee. Like, my apologies for actually saying that you're the manager. But either way, you're all working as a team, and your goal is really to be able to be of best service to your clients. So I appreciate you and the team that you work with. As I've said, any last words?
So what I would like
Words
to
of wisdom.
leave you with, Farley, is this. Uh, my firm, our consultancy is based on collaboration. And people in this state of fear, concern, and uncertainty, what they need to do is look at teams to help them. It's not just one person that's going to help you with your problems. It's going to be a team of people, whether you need a lawyer, whether you need a realtor, whether you need an insurance person, financial advisor, CPA. It's going to be a team of trusted advisors, trusted individuals that you are comfortable with. You have to be comfortable with your professionals. You got to be able to talk to them and feel like they're helping you. Otherwise, you really are with the wrong people. You're not helping yourself if you're not finding the right chemistry with your professionals. So I would suggest to you, if you're not in that relationship, just like in divorce, if you if you don't get the right chemistry with your spouse, it's time to move on. Call Carolina. Uh,
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so very much. And that's exactly what we do at the Divorce Dynasty. We have, like, you know, a lot of, like, if I'm not correct, like close to 100 vetted professionals. Just like what you said, people you can trust. These are people that were chosen exclusively for the Divorce Dynasty because we know them as people, we know them as experts. These are people that you can talk to, people who have a big heart, people who are really geniuses at what they do. And the fact, when you have that right chemistry, and the right community, that and have that powerful connection with the people that are there to serve your best interest, magic happens, serenity happens, prosperity happens. Oh, well, on that note, thank you so very much for sharing your genius with us today. And we hope that, if before you make any decision at all, talk to Henry and his team. Henry Rinder, of Smolin Lupin, and that way you can make the right decisions, the right guidance before you make a life altering decision. I know that we put our hearts, our best resources, and our hard earned money towards a business. Before you close the doors, before you let go of your employees, it is worth a call to Henry Rinder. All right. On that note, this is Furley Almonte on behalf of Carolina Denhard from the D Word and the Divorce Dynasty. We hope that you continue to stay well, stay healthy, and live in great love and gratitude. Until next time, bye bye. Thank you, Henry.
Thank you, Farley. Have a great day.
You too.